No, I was just going to gaslight people into thinking that, like, no, it hasn't been a few months since the last episode. This has been 1 week.
February.
Yeah,
1 week.
I mean, it was a little long. You know, it's February now. Last one was in December, but that's not too unusual. No, so we're here, LARP number 3, and today we're going to be talking about projects that we've been working on for the past while to get this back on a roll. There was a big Elden Ring thing that was late March, late February, early March that was all going on. And kind of just all through March, that's all people wanted to talk about was Elden Ring. Did you guys get to play it?
Nah, I didn't get to play it.
Bro. Yes, I got to play it. It's very good.
Yeah, I probably game of the year, which I said in my video.
Yeah, I would have to agree at this point, definitely.
Unfortunately, that my video was not the only Elden Ring video I made, and so we're going to be talking today about the fake, not April Fool's Elden Ring video that I made as a replacement for any kind of follow-up video, because I kind of just decided against doing that.
All right, so I got a question for you, Tetra. How long did it take for you to realize the video was a joke?
Katanas being like racist against Chinese people or something like that, and I was like, okay, yeah.
Were you on the fence up to that point?
A little, which I had already. It took me a minute to get around to watching it, and so I was already kind of seeing the discourse happening in the Discord. For anyone who wasn't watching all of that, there was a bunch of people who were like, "Can you believe this like Pat TV video?" Like he said, like it was. They were talking about like the opening clips and stuff like that about how you spent a bunch of time showing you dying to the Beast Man or whatever his name is.
Yeah. Beastman of Farum Azula, a boss that half of the people didn't even know is in the game.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, when I first started watching it, I was a little confused at how people didn't think it was a joke, especially people that are in your Discord and know your videos, because of especially the voice that you put on for it and everything.
Right, that was kind of an intention of the video was... It was sort of bait, because there was this, like, concern with me that I was going to fall off and say something about Elden Ring that was just like, oh, Pat TV, he's an old man now, he doesn't get video games, and it's like, you probably found me through my Oblivion video, so you've only known me a couple months. And
right.
What I'm saying isn't unreasonable, but it's just perceived as unreasonable because of the, I think they call it the honeymoon period with games.
Yeah.
And so the video really is designed to be just plausible enough, but to have points where it should reasonably throw you off the wagon. And when I say that the Moonlight Katana, which isn't even the name of the damn thing, is culturally appropriating weapons from Japan, and that From Software has an unhealthy relationship with Japanese culture, that should be a point where if you know me,
or even FromSoft,
or you even don't know me, that it should really alert you, and that was done intentionally.
Yeah, that was the biggest turning point for me, other than just the voice and the clip compilation of you dying to that boss. I was like, yeah, I mean, I hadn't played a Dark Souls game for like years up until this point, up until Elden Ring came out. And I still like 3-tried him or something like that. And so I was like, this might be a bait. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the thing is intentionally playing that badly is a very fine line to walk to not tip people off. And so
you got to look like you're trying, but also consistently fail.
And over the course of the video being up, I actually cut that section twice in the YouTube editor. So the video length was changing because I was cutting it down. Originally, this was one of the jokes I did. Each clip, the audio goes down by 2 decibels. So that by the end, it's almost inaudible and you're like turning up the volume to hear it. And then it just goes back to normal.
Oh, that's amazing.
But I don't think anybody actually noticed that.
No, I didn't.
I was picking up on a lot of like audio crap that I knew you were leaving in or just intentionally putting in.
Yeah,
just,
like
bad
everything was
takes
too
and stuff.
loud. There were like
The
straight up
music was-
mistakes.
Yeah.
So I realized the video was a joke. Well, I realized you were doing a bit pretty much from the beginning of the video, just judging by your tone of voice and stuff. It wasn't until the Beastman part that I realized that was the video, and that's when it started to sink in. I was like, oh god, what the fuck?
That it wasn't just like a fake out first minute that some people do.
I was
before they get to the real
waiting
part.
I was waiting for like, the shoe to drop, the big reveal, like, ha, I was fooling you the whole time.
There's some people out there who are convinced that there's a rule to this kind of stuff, that you are supposed to do a reveal, that you aren't supposed to just pretend that the video is real in the comments and in like a live stream afterwards. Yeah, for the week following that video's release, I was adamant. No, it's a real video.
The best was the dude in the chat who was like, yeah, but your like tone of voice was different. You're like, no, there's just the new audio interface.
Yeah, it's just my new equipment. Yeah, I actually processed my audio differently. I changed my parametric equalizer setting to make me sound more nasally than normal.
It's a very high quality bait. It's incredibly high quality. All of the different little, like just patting your ego here, but all the little like audio things that you did that that made it seem that, I mean, it pulled you into the realm of a lot of other sort of like video game review, critique, analysis, whatever, like sort of like the lower end spectrum of quality that a lot of these kind of people put out.
Yeah, it was
not going to name
believable.
anybody, but yeah, it was believable. But it wasn't believable coming from you was the problem. But if you only know Pat for so long or whatever, it can kind of seem as it might have been on purpose or intentional and not for a joke, but actually like he just really hated Elden Ring and then crapped out this 15-minute long video with a bunch of points that kind of sound like they might be right, you know?
Yeah, because there was truth layered in it. I said things that I genuinely believed or that was truthful, surrounded by stuff that should have been obviously bad.
It was a trip. That like there was like a week there where that was all anybody wanted to talk about was discussing your video on the Discord and stuff like that, and it was frustrating watching all that go down because I was just like, are we for real right now?
Well, and the comments was a whole other thing because
I didn't even read the comments. I was like, I'm staying away from this one.
Well, okay, so the comments were hilarious because most people actually picked up that it was a joke. I didn't lose, like, at this point, I've only lost 50 subscribers on the video, so, like, got down to 250 lost, and then it started going back up after a few days. So, oh yeah, that was one part was, I show in the video that I had 83.4 thousand subscribers. I hit 80,000 the night that the video uploaded, like, before it was even public. So I lied to people that I lost 3,000 subscribers. I actually only lost, like, 50. I forgot where I was originally going. Oh, the comments. Yeah, I was gaslighting people into thinking that, like, there was just large numbers of people falling for it because I word filtered. Yeah, I did actually delete comments. I word filtered joke, April Fool's, bait, some other stuff like that. And I was deleting comments that were getting around the word filter. So the top comments were all people who thought the video was unironic. And I think that went a long way because once I started doing that, the dislike meter started rapidly going down. So it's like a lot of people were on the fence about it being fake and then like went down to the comments to try and see if somebody was talking about it. And all the people talking about it were like, I cannot believe that this guy is serious.
Yeah. That too. I mean, I saw the pinned comment. I remember seeing that one. About how you were like, guys, I'm serious. Like, yeah, I think on Twitter you said something like, I'm not wrong.
I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
I'm early.
Yeah. Which, it killed me. I was like, wow. Yeah. It almost seemed like like you were taking the idea that I had with the sort of with the observation video and just extending it to a week-long, ruse.
Right. And that's kind of the difference between me and people who were doing lame April Fool's videos, which I actually hate April Fool's despite the fact that I've done it 2 years in a row. And I have more to say about April Fool's. The pinned comment, I have it here. Please, this is all caps, please read before you feel the need to be ignorant. I had to wipe the comment section due to toxicity. I did wipe it, but not for that reason. And some people noticed that, like, there were toxic comments that were still up of, like, people calling me dipshits, but they didn't say the video was fake, so I left them up. This is not an April Fool's video. It took me a month to it takes me a month to cover games that we are a month out from release. I sound different because I was using new audio hardware plus settings. Telling me that I'm/this video is a joke is not an opinion. You have a right to your opinion, but when you wake up to the truth, this video will still be here. And people took, like, massive exception to that. You have a right to an opinion, but this video will still be here thing. I thought that just kind of sounded like a generic, like, I was going for we've been waiting all your life for you to wake up kind of meme.
Yeah.
So I was surprised at, like, how many people responded poorly to the pinned comment, because I think the tradition is that, like, even if you don't declare that the video is a ruse, you still do in, like, the pinned comment. And so the fact that I wasn't didn't help.
Yeah,
I mean, it helped a lot, but
you either out it on Twitter or something like that. You're supposed to eventually announce it.
Yeah.
You did a
you
week
did
later.
Eventually, just a week later, in a different video.
yeah, the announcement was just supposed to be the real video. And then it was just going to be an egg on face moment, like, oh, I can't believe I fell for that, or the whole video was actually, like, bait. I was trying to bait response videos, just because I thought that would be pretty funny that, like, people were responding to it. But I only got one person to respond to it. It was a really small channel that just, like, didn't understand what a joke is.
I was wondering if because I've had this thought before of doing, like, a stag bait video, where I like do a video on a really, really popular video game and make sure that I put as much, like, talk about everything being my own opinion, and that, like, no opinion is wrong, and then just blatantly get everything wrong in the video.
Or, like, you say that this is just your opinion, and then you still make, like, objectivity-based arguments.
Yeah, something like that. But and then, like, having an unlisted video ready to go if Stag ever talks about it, so that while they're live streaming, I release like the actual video.
I wasn't gonna do it while they were live streaming, but yeah, that was the goal of, like, I have proof that the real video was up at the same time as the fake video. It was just private.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the goal, was, like, you fell for this even though this was never my true opinion, and it should have been obvious from X, Y, and Z that's in the video. And that's why it was such a complicated thing. It's one thing to make a plausibly believable video, but it's like, okay, so you tricked a bunch of people into thinking something that you don't believe is real. Like, that doesn't accomplish anything. There has to be a moment where it's just too obvious. And if you ignore that moment, then it's like, then that's what's embarrassing. Because otherwise it's just like a generic, yeah, Elden Ring's bad video. Oh, but whoops, I don't actually believe that. And it's like, no, this has got to be next level.
Yeah, definitely. Even that, though, would have been surprising coming from you, like just a video full of incorrect opinions and things like that. Just because you've shown to have a pedigree of not going there or not responding to a game in an emotional way, but from an analytical perspective.
Right.
Yeah, this is a type of joke that only works once, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the thing, is, like, every video from here on is going to have that element of, oh, he might be doing a ruse kind of deal. And I knew that going in.
But I think you picked the right game to do it with, honestly.
Absolutely. We don't get opportunities like this every year. And
There's people who are saying Elden Ring's, like, game of the decade already. So I think you picked the target right.
Which is hopefully premature. Like, I want to think that even From Software is going to top Elden Ring. If we say that something is game of the decade already, I mean, we're only in the second year.
Yeah.
So do
yeah,
we have to
definitely.
wait until 2030 to get something better than Elden Ring? Like, fuck.
Yeah,
No, it'll be
'cause
Starfield. Come on.
Well, I mean, I played Elden Ring for like, maybe this is getting slightly off topic because it's just about the game, but it was like 70 hours or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And around hour 60 or so, which I beat the game top to bottom. I didn't go beat Millennia or whatever.
Oh, me neither.
It started to drag around hour 60. And I realized that it was because I wasn't doing any open world exploration anymore. It was all just legacy dungeon after legacy dungeon after legacy dungeon, which I thought I liked because I liked Dark Souls 1 and 2. But something about this one started to feel...
I think it's after you try to go into the Erd Tree and they say no, and you have to, like... Then you have to go fight the fire giant and go up to the big bowl, and then the, like...
Yeah.
Pharaoh Missoula was definitely where it really started to get kind of tedious and kind of head-scratching as to, like, why the game is this way.
And so for a game to have, like, I don't know if that's a consistent opinion that is held by a lot of people, but for it has like at least one pretty big glaring flaw, and I'm like, I don't know, like I loved my time with it, but I can't I can see how it could easily be topped by FromSoft specifically now that they have an open world Dark Souls game under their belt.
I think it's going to be on the Patrician tier in a few years, just because it's so close to perfection, but it has these Persian flaws. I don't know if they're Persian flaws, because Persian flaws are intentional, because the Persians thought artwork can't be perfect, so they would add like a little flaw intentionally. But it does have like one or two extremely minor issues that makes it not be like just this phenomenal, amazing game. But it's still pretty damn good. And
Oh yeah.
I like the stuff where I lied about my experience with Dark Souls by saying that like I only beat Dark Souls 3 with summons, or that I never played Dark Souls 1 when I've streamed Dark Souls 1. And I have it in my videos. Like I have Dark Souls 1 in the Oblivion video.
Yeah.
Oh no, I guess people taking footage from other videos is common practice now, so maybe there is a possibility that like I was just using other people's footage. What do you
Or people just don't think that far.
What do you
know?
What do you actually? That's a good question. What do you guys actually think of the practice of not playing every game that you mention, but like borrowing footage from other people?
I just watermark their YouTube or whatever into the video itself.
That's been kind of my thing. Is you see this with the Jedi Knight video, which did pretty well. There's a handful of times I talk about other Star Wars games that I don't have access to because they're like old arcade games, and I really don't want to set up the emulation for what is just a 5-second clip. But what if it's you're talking about a game as more than just referencing it exists, and you're using somebody else's footage?
It would depend on how long it is, pretty much. I would not want to keep somebody else's footage up for more than 20 seconds.
So you wouldn't put in 7 minutes of just their video in your Skyrim video?
No. Yeah, I agree with that, actually. I pull a lot of I mean, you can look at the descriptions for my videos. I pull a lot of footage from a lot of different places. But I try to keep it as small because, I mean, it'll just be like a tiny little note about something, you know, just a quick little mention of a game mechanic or a story element that the game does or whatever, and I just need a little tiny thing to exemplify that. And to me, it doesn't justify the, like, need to go and figure out how to play that game, especially if it's one I don't already own or even can't play because I don't have a system that can play it, you know.
Or it's a game that is like 150 gig install, and you need like 10 seconds of it.
Right, yeah, that's definitely another thing is like, how much time am I going to spend playing the game to get this clip? Especially if it's something specific from that game, like something that happens 6 hours in. So I kind of wanted to get through the rest of the things I've written down. It's not an April Fool's video. The release date was coincidental, and I think it
Really?
being released around April Fool's was part of the reason that it failed.
So you consider it a failure?
I would say it was a failure because it was designed to bait the kind of reactionary channels of the world, and
Okay.
it didn't really catch anything notable. We almost caught like the Act Man, but that was it.
I wonder if that's because, like, you just released the video too late. You might have wanted to. You should have had it out like 2 or 3 weeks earlier.
Well, so the fake video was done like 6 or 7 days prior to when it got released. It was the real video, and the goal of being able to say that like the real video was done before the fake video was up, that slowed that down.
Right.
But I think that was like a central part of making it work. And so I couldn't have compromised on that. But yeah, it was not an April Fool's video. I dislike April Fool's because it's just an excuse that people use to make bad videos. Like generally unfunny stuff or...
I just avoid the internet on April Fool's Day.
Yeah,
not
like
even
websites that
joking.
become unusable for the day. Like, it's not that I dislike fun, it's just that most people aren't funny with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, go fucking crazy.
dude, pull a full psyops, gaslight an audience for a whole week. That's how
Exactly.
you do it.
Dude, I got more sponsorship offers after that video because it was blowing up than I did before. I didn't burn any credibility. And this is kind of the next thing I want to talk about. I didn't do it for money because the amount of money I made from that video was insignificant compared to if I had just taken a sponsorship offer on a real Elden Ring video, because there's way too many people who think that there's some meta to YouTube of outrage clicks. It doesn't really work that well, especially if the videos are dog shit, which the Elden Ring video is if it was unironic, because a lot of
Yep.
people will click off of it. It sounds annoying. It's badly made.
They'll either click off
right.
of it or dislike it and stuff, and dislikes do hurt videos, so...
Yeah, so, yeah, I think people say that a lot about Acer Thorne, that, like, he doesn't actually believe all the things he says. No, I think he's genuine.
Yeah.
I think it's just, he has a lot of opinions that are disagreeable. Or, like, I know Quantum TV had similar Elden Ring takes. I haven't kept up with the Quantum TV stuff other than, like, it being funny that the Act Man is going after him. But apparently his channel is kind of built around that similar niche of like making outrage click videos, but I really think that's probably just those people's genuine opinion. Like, I think in the review space, I think there are more people who are lying about being nostalgic for games they actually never played than there are people making up negative opinions.
Oh, that's an interesting thought right there.
I don't even know how I would lie about being nostalgic about something.
You just make up the fact that, oh yeah, I've totally played War of the Ring, when you've never actually like played it before. It's like so for me to cover a lot of stuff, I would have to be playing it for the first time. Like, I could make a video where I'm like, oh man, I love Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 as a kid, when it's like, no, my parents made me choose. It was either Knights of the Old Republic 2 or Jedi Academy. I had to pick. My parents did not have enough money to get me all these fucking games, so it's really weird that like all these people have all these different gaming experiences that they got to play as a kid and talk about nostalgically. I just think there's some people who are stretching the truth about what they are nostalgic about, because there's a lot of money in it.
And the amount of games that I played as a kid that were just hot fucking garbage,
Oh, yeah, that
grossly
too.
outnumbers the ones that were gems.
Yeah, I played a lot of trash as a kid too. It's
You
like,
don't know any better.
how is it that you managed to play every single good game of 2000 to 2005?
Yeah, exactly.
I've never thought about that take before. I did want to ask, do you think that it would have been more successful, the video, had you just waited until like the middle of April?
Maybe. So we were kind of running into a risk with it, because when I pulled the plug on that video, it had just reached 100,000 views, which was pretty phenomenal for as far as side projects go for me. And it was like, there was a very real risk that video was going to do a lot better than I thought it was. And I know full well, when I release the Skyrim video later this year, there's going to be somebody out there who's like, oh yeah, Patrician TV. He's that guy that did that really bad Elden Ring review, right? That would be way worse if I allowed it to just run like full rampancy. And so it came down to a question of how much of my long-term credibility am I willing to spend on this fishing trip?
I think a week's a good time.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with a week. All we caught was comments. We got almost into the Act Man video. Apparently, a couple of the Stag co-hosts thought it was real, but my
so we were so close.
My conclusion on Stag is that Kritosis, the guy that actually runs the show, is actually pretty smart, and that it was mostly his co-hosts that caused the whole kerfuffle in the first place. Because if you watch the clip where they were talking about the Discord drama that led to me kind of wanting to do the video, it was just one factor, but it was like it was the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of making me want to do it. The other one was like re-listening to the song Twilight Zone 20 times in a row at 3 a.m. But oh shit. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that.
Talking about Stag and how Kritosis is like
yeah,
smart
so
one.
My read when I was listening to the Kritosis clip is he opens it up with like, oh, are you guys going to talk about that? And then he stays quiet for pretty much most of the bit where they're talking about the actual argument, and then he only really like contributes to the conversation when it's about the like me deleting the channel and what have you, which I think is like the only part of that where that would be a reasonable thing to discuss on their live stream. Because my kind of issue with it was that live streaming and public discords, I think, are great opportunities to make videos better. And so if you're policing those, you're not really in service of what is supposed to be Stag's kind of mission statement, as I understand it, which was to make videos better in general. And so it's like, yeah, I had, there was some stuff that I was either wrong about or had underdeveloped opinions on about Elden Ring. That's why I did the live stream, so that I could gauge whether or not I was right about the game or if I was just crazy and this was something that only I was experiencing. And the consensus I got from the live stream was that no, I'm not crazy. These are things that people are having issues with. And the best part is when some of your issues get patched before you get to make a video. Right. Because there's no greater validation that you were right than the developers fixing the problem.
See, a lot of people will take that and be like, "Oh, now I can't talk about that point. They fixed it, so why should I?" Yeah, exactly. All the more the reason that you should talk about it.
Yeah, because then you get to show off that you were right. Like, fuck you guys, who you guys were talking shit about my smithing stones opinion. Fucking From Software apparently agreed with me.
Right.
But
they saw my post on Reddit.
They actually, so the real issue came from the fact that it had gone through a game of telephone. So somebody who was involved in this original Discord argument, 5 people got banned. But when I say banned, that means I just immediately unbanned them. I've never banned anybody for being annoying. No, wait, I have. I've never banned anybody for disagreeing with me. But
was it Mad Dog?
I will use the ban function and then immediately unban you just so it deletes all your posts, because fuck you. But so I banned and unbanned these people. 4 of them came back, 1 of them didn't, and I think the one that didn't went to the Kritosis Discord server and like tried to summarize the argument, and then it went through this game of telephone and ended up being like my argument was misrepresented. So I'm looking in the follow-up script for what they thought my argument was. And I don't blame them for... Oh no, that's the fake Elden Ring script. Where's the follow-up? There it is. I don't blame them for this because the channel was deleted, so it's not like they could have read the argument. Honestly, I don't even think it would have been worth reading because it was kind of just a stupid argument. Okay, so this is a quote. "Oh god, in the smithing party he said that, because your smithing stones are so rare at the end of the game, you can't experiment with any new weapons, which is bullshit. Smithing stones are literally infinite." So they were told, I think, that I was talking about in-game smithing stone progression, when really what is in the video, which was what I was talking about, was the rate at which you're given smithing stones in the early game, and how I think that you aren't given enough smithing stones compared to the rate that you get somber stones, which again is something that From Software patched because they increased the drop rate on smithing stones. So
yeah, because I even experienced, I mean, I agreed with you on some of the points in that video, you know, and that was one of the ones where I had like maybe one weapon that I had leveled up to a point where it felt good to use, and then I was like, I want to try some other things, and I couldn't find like level 3 smithing stones.
Yeah, there's a bottleneck on the tier 2 smithing stones.
Yeah. Maybe not anymore, but at the time anyway.
And it's like, I think the smithing bells that allow you to buy the smithing stones serve the purpose of if you want to level up a bunch of different weapons. But I mean, we're seriously talking about all I had was a long sword that was leveling up. And I had multiple somber stone weapons that were out leveling that one. Just because of how much more common somber stones are.
Which seems like it's backwards.
Yeah, because before, Twinkling Titanite was rarer than just normal Titanite.
By far.
That's how Dark Souls progresses. Because you're only really supposed to have a couple boss weapons that you progress, but you can have all of these common weapons progressing.
Yeah, I hit a point, maybe around hour 40 or so, where I realized that I had just a million somber stones. So I just started dumping them into my boss weapons. I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to use this. I might experiment with it. We'll see, you know?
Yeah, or the stuff for progressing the spirit ashes. There's a lot more of that than anything.
Right.
Even though there's like 1 or 2 spirit ashes really worth investing in.
Skeletal warriors and the mimic, right?
Yeah, anything that gives you multiple people, because there's kind of an action economy in Elden Ring boss fights, and then Mimic tier just because it's really good.
Mimic tier carried me through the first half of the final boss most of the time.
Yeah, it was interesting. It's like, which part of the final boss do you use Mimic tier for? The first part or the latter part? And that was kind of something that I had struggled with. And I, to this day, think that I got lucky with the final boss. Even at I was at soul level 120. I had done multiple grinding sessions. Like, I was going up 5 levels at a time trying to find the point that boss becomes good. And I think I just got lucky at 120.
I beat him at 122, and the frustrating thing was that the first half of the final boss felt good. Like it was a satisfying challenge, and then the second half felt like nonsense.
It should have been you beat what's his name, and then there's a grace there, and you rest at it, and then there's an object at the center of the arena, and that takes you to the Elden Beast fight.
Yeah, and Joseph Anderson had a point about final bosses that are designed that way in his Hollow Knight video, where he said having a save point before the actual Elden Beast would have made Elden Beast easier, but they could have also made the boss before him harder, because you don't have to get through him to get to the Elden Beast.
Yeah, so it has multiple benefits because it helps the boss before him to be able to have that save point. And boss rushes are not uncommon ways of handling it.
So, all of the stuff that happened with your Discord over the winter, like opening up a different, the second channel, and then kind of purging that channel, and there was a lot of stuff that happened, and I only kind of saw it because I became very sort of inactive on the Discord around that time. Did that have anything to do with the Elden Ring video?
No, because that was before Elden Ring.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, if the way that people were behaving around then sort of fed you toward wanting to really test your viewers and make sure that they were actually,
Well, maybe kind of. The Discord server is not kind of what I want it to be, and I think that's just a foundational issue with Discord itself.
Yeah.
And the way that things are run. Discord operates sort of like an innovation on traditional bulletin board forum systems, where there is a level of pseudonymity to everybody. So everybody's got a username, everybody's got an icon, and conversations go back to the dawn of time and what have you. And I find all of that incredibly frustrating because what I noticed, and this is where I really started to have issues with the server, was that there were upsides and downsides to posting on the Patrician TV account. The upside was that I can dominate any conversation because everybody is there for me, right?
Yeah.
So I can start any conversation I want to and have people respond. I can enter any conversation and have people pivot towards what I'm interested in talking about. And that's not something that people would normally be allowed to do in a conversation. It's actually quite rude. The downside is that when people have formed these parasocial relationships with me, that when I do antics, like I ban you temporarily, it stings more than it ordinarily would as well. And so there is a very real element that the Discord server is something that I'm not happy with, just from the perspective of I am functionally incompatible with that style of forum. So that's why we have the auto-delete bot, for instance, that just after 200 posts, it deletes things. And it's like, is that because you get rid of all that stuff that violates the terms of service? No, we don't really even allow that stuff. That's just because that's the way that I want it to work.
You want the server to be a lot more in the moment.
Yeah, very fluid. You have to be there if you want to participate in it. There's no, I'm going to read everything that was posted on the Patrician TV server today, unless it's one of the slower channels.
I take it you are more of a fan of image boards than like traditional forums.
Yeah, I was actually working on an image board for to host my forum on instead of Discord server. I would keep a Discord server around, but I might strip back the channels and just encourage people to go over to an image board because image boards allow, you can be pseudo-anonymous on an image board, but they are primarily anonymous platforms. And so I could participate in a conversation and nobody would know that they were talking to Patrician TV unless I wanted them to know. And so those upsides and downsides would be less significant.
Yeah, so I came about from traditional forums. So for me, being on Discord is also frustrating because of the transient nature of Discord. So it's like, if I get into a conversation, I start reading a bit of it, I'm like, oh, this seems like pretty interesting. But I have to scroll up for like 5 minutes to find the beginning of the conversation. It just gets really frustrating after a certain point. I'm like, I don't even want to bother anymore.
Yeah, Discord runs kind of like an like a continuous IRC kind of thing, and they've added threads to create more
like permanence.
Yeah, permanency
threads
in conversations, but nobody uses them.
No.
Yeah.
I would like you could probably make a bot that would make threads operate like a image board where the channel would be, you would have the video games channel, and then people would just create threads in the channel, but not actually post in the channel. They would post in the threads, and then the channel would be like the catalog.
Right.
And then you would just have the threads time out after a certain amount of time, and that would function more like an image board and like something that I would want to use, but you would still have that pseudonymity issue. And the only way to solve that with Discord would be me posting on an alternate account.
Well, they just added that
Which
feature
you already
where you can
do.
have 4 accounts on at one given time.
Yeah, but the other thing is that if I run my own image board, then I am like I get to write the terms of service.
Yeah.
And so there's no more of this, I'm going to threaten to have your server taken down nonsense that your Acer Thorns or your Salt Factory moderators do.
Yeah.
Because, you can't threaten me with taking down my own website. I mean, you can, but that's actually, against the law at that point.
Yeah, unless it's like clear you're breaking the law, like hosting illegal content or something like that. But
Yeah, which I wouldn't
Good
do
luck.
anyways.
yeah, and good luck getting that through a court of law anyway for such a small fucking website. Courts
would
don't even
you-
bother with it.
How would you deal with the problem of people impersonating you on an image board?
Well, so on image boards, you can, as site administrator, if I post on the site administrator account, I would say that, and that's impossible to spoof. There's also
Okay.
trip codes, which allow you to have it's like having an account. It's just a lot more temporary. And so in between threads, you would be able to maintain an identity, but really image boards work on the spirit of anonymity.
Yeah, primarily you'd only use your official channel for just like making announcements and shit like that. So if somebody really is on there trying to impersonate you, more likely than not, people are just gonna be like, "Oh, this dude's just fucking trolling." They're not even gonna believe it.
Yeah, which could be part of the fun.
Yeah, exactly. You have 5 people pretending to be you in a conversation. It's just like, all right, this is getting interesting now.
Patrician TV spammed the N-word 5,000 times on his image board. And it's like, no, that's not me.
It says the name right there, though.
Yeah.
It's definitive proof.
That's not how that works.
Patty Cakes TV.
That would be the other benefit of being the site admin, is that I can, prove stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's kind of the Elden Ring video in a nutshell. The comment section was pretty funny.
That was a nutshell?
Well, it was a long one, to be sure. I didn't even get to the video notes where I talked about, like, all the layers of it, because that might take us another hour. It is a very layered and intricate video, and I don't think people give it enough credit as bait.
It's good to watch a couple times, at least. Watch it 2 or 3 times.
So you can span the gate you have on your vocal.
Yeah, the other thing was, so I made my voice sound different. I also did the Will Loves Video Games cadence.
Yeah.
Where you
it is killing me.
Hard enunciate like the last couple words of a sentence. So
effective, but it also like made me want to not watch the videos, which is what you wanted. But
you just put the video on like 1.5 speed. You won't even notice.
So that cadence is why I tell people who ask me for advice, make like a 10-minute video. So if you're doing that, we can tell you, and you can fix that before you make your 5-hour video.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I really do wish Will would come back though. I feel like he would be a welcome addition to the current landscape of like video reviews.
He was a breath of fresh air.
I really enjoyed his Skyrim video.
When he was coming back?
Yeah.
The one with the Red Dead music?
Yeah.
It was comfy.
It was
like,
comfy.
I just, I love when people do shit differently. So I saw that and I was just like, you know what? I don't really get it, but I dig it.
I disagree with some of the stuff he said, but man, it's unique.
Yeah, he's trying. He's not doing the same shit that everybody else is doing.
That's why it's sad that he disappeared. At some point, I'm going to try to reach out to him and ask him if I can re-upload those videos or if he can put them back up.
You know what? The brightest flames burn the earliest or something like that?
Yeah, I'm not wrong. I'm just early. So
in 10 years, we'll be making videos like that.
Unironically.
Yeah. With these really long, like, artistic, like, music breaks in the middle for, like, effectively no reason, I think.
So I guess the next person whose project we should talk about is Tetramore and his latest Universal Paperclips video that I found quite interesting.
I was glad that you knew Frank Lance. I had no idea. I wish I had asked you about him prior to making the video because your comment was really insightful.
I didn't know Frank Lance. I knew he is the archetype of the video game academic that you would run up against. Maybe I've read something that he written and it just didn't stick out to me. But he is absolutely...
Oh, so you didn't know him. Oh,
no,
the comment made me think that maybe you did.
Yeah, I can see how you got that impression. I was referring to there being 2 types of game academics, and he is the archetype of one of those types. He is, he seems like a very intelligent person. He just has difficulty kind of explaining basic concepts in academic ways that the other departments around him would do. And so to keep up the appearances of being this academic person, he might say something ridiculous like, poetry is not designed.
When that's apparently not even what he meant.
So when I was doing the recording for that whole section, I was sitting there.
I wanted to ask you how that went. I didn't know whether to prompt you.
No, so I went in originally thinking like, oh, like Tetra's gonna, be using this as like examples and like riffing off this guy, like probably agreeing with a lot of what he's saying. And then I got to the part about like League of Legends being like one of the most beautiful games. It's like something's amiss here.
Oh no, Tetramore's making a fake video too.
So
I'm just parodying Daddy Pat.
I just like plowed through it until that last paragraph where he like gets like super poetic and stuff. That took me 30 minutes to get through. That was so, because I was sitting there, I'm just like, I start laughing and then I'm just like shaking my head. I'm just like, this is, after everything this dude has said, he ends it with a fucking quote about like
the line about
pencils and lightning and stuff. I'm like, what is this, man?
We're just gonna clip out that part of you saying that, and we're gonna like pretend that that's something that
your
you
original
said.
quote.
Yeah, we're gonna say private sessions went off the handle recently. He's had this to say.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
Went full pretentious mode. But yeah, so afterwards, after I watched your video, I was kind of sitting there like, I feel like he should have prompted me and like told me, and then I thought about it again. I was like, maybe not though, because then I probably would have like subconsciously tried to make it sound like he was a little bit more pretentious or something. Like I tried to be as neutral as possible and be like, make it sound genuine. So if I was like sitting there kind of like trying to make him sound pretentious, it probably would have, weakened your argument and stuff. So
yeah, I kind of wanted to just see what you gave me. If it had come out pretentious, I maybe would have asked you to do it a little differently, just because I wanted to sort of not give the impression that I was trying to influence the viewer to agree with me.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
to let the article sort of speak for itself and give my points about how I think it's absolutely insane. Yeah, and then in reading the comments and stuff after I had already sort of written the section where I was talking about it, I was reading through the comments on the article, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's like backpedaling and like...
Yeah. Yeah, that stood out to me too, was that like he did not stand by his position.
Yeah, at least not as intensely as he wrote it.
Which is probably why he published it in that way and not as like a official essay attached to his career.
Yeah, that was like that was an op-ed sort of thing, right?
It's it's on a website that he wrote numerous articles for, but I will say that it's not. I don't think that you can find it on his website.
It's the sort of thing I would have had to dig when I was writing about games in college, because typically what you look through is an academic database that goes through various academic journals, right? And with games, you're allowed a little bit of leeway to do like online academics, and so, but I mean, that is absolutely the kind of thing that would be difficult to find from an academic perspective because of the way it's published.
Yeah, and I also had this sort of thought that I was like, I wonder if I should try and reach out to Frank and just ask him what he thinks about this article now, and maybe not even like change what I say or how I say it in any way in light of that response. But just to kind of see, because it's been 6 years since he wrote that, maybe even 7. And I mean, opinions can change, or thought processes or whatever, the point that he got to where he wrote these sort of ridiculous things can change over time.
With art academics, it tends to not change. They reach a certain point in life, and then whatever they thought at that point is like cement. They will go to the grave carrying those perspectives.
Perhaps so. I'll probably never know because he's never going to watch the video or anything.
You'd be surprised.
That'd be kind of crazy if I just opened up my email one day and I saw a comment from him.
Well,
I don't even know what it would say.
He might have a student who tries to like show it to him, kind of deal.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you this. How do you think the kind of introduction, with it being segmented the way you did it, impacted your viewership?
Well, So I would surprisingly not as much as I thought it was going to.
Right.
I think. It was funny because like the very first comment that I got minutes after it was uploaded was just some dude saying nice. And then the second comment that I got was a dude that was like, congratulations, that was the most annoying 40 seconds of my life. Cheers.
Right. I feel
And
like
I was like,
I try to have videos for everybody that I want to recommend on hand, and I feel like if I made the Universal Paper, despite how good the rest of it is, if I made the Universal Paperclips video my recommendation, it would have to come with a caveat. You got to hold through for the first minute.
yeah, definitely. And you know, it's one of those things where I'm like, I get in my sort of like headspace of I have this idea because I had the idea to do that well before I had even like recorded the gameplay footage or anything. That was a early onset idea that I had, was to have this sort of like incremental analysis where the analysis is unlocked by clicking a button as if it was an incremental game. And it's silly and dumb.
I like that idea, and I like ideas that are like that, where you have it before anything else, and you just got to stick with it. There's a lot of stuff that I do that's like that.
Yeah, but then the other thing is like, I don't know, oftentimes I get those ideas and I literally never even question whether or not they're good. For example, with the observation video, which almost no one has seen, I do this like 30-minute long, essentially, ruse about like talking about the game and sort of misrepresenting it. And then a video came out a week later that said, that was titled, "Everything that I said in my last video was wrong." And I submitted it to be reviewed by Rasputin. I think I talked about this before. And one of the things that he said was, the thing about this is that now that this video already exists, the jig is up. You know, like, if people see the title of that video before they watch the observation video, they're going to be like, well, I already know the punchline. You know, like, something's fishy here at the very least. And it was another example of an idea that I sort of like have, and I'm like really gung-ho about, and I'm like, this is a great idea, and then I don't really stop to like think through the consequences or like how it's being presented, you know?
Sounds like something I did recently. where it's
Yeah,
like,
and I mean,
the
maybe
fake video doesn't work if the real video is known, but I kind of disagree with that perspective, because with the way that recommendations work, there's always a chance that somebody's first video is going to be the fake one. And then, you know, it's still plausible. Like, I literally uploaded that video so it could be public on the second channel, and it says bait in the title, and there are people in the comment section of the fake video on the second channel still thinking that it's unironic.
Yeah.
Unless they're trying to pull a fast one.
Oh yeah, that was the whole thing too. Is like, it's impossible to gauge. Is this person playing along with the joke,
dude,
or is this person serious?
The first night when that video went up, I was sitting in those comments, and after a point, I was like having like some sort of cognitive dissonance where I was like, I don't know what's real anymore.
Yeah,
that was me that whole week.
People said that too. Was that it was really hard to gauge what's even real anymore? Because I mean, the lie continued into the live streams that I did. The stuff I would say on Discord and Twitter, I was trying to keep up appearances as much as possible. And when I was thinking about it, sorry to take over your section, by the way. When I was thinking about it,
you're fine.
I was like, if somebody says they're going to make a video, I should threaten to DMCA their video. That would really get the ball rolling on it. But we never got that far. And I never would have done it, right? But that's the fun thing about threats, is that the threat of it alone is enough, but it's not actually an action. So
I think one of the valuable things that the intro for that video, for the Paperclips video, actually did, honestly, is it almost acts as sort of like a gatekeeping moment, where it's like, once you get past the first 40 seconds, I feel like it's harder to click off, because you've gotten through this sort of like and it becomes like just
You're
this normal video,
invested.
right? Yeah, you're invested now.
The sunk cost fallacy.
Exactly. And then the rest of the video is fine and good. But it starts off with this sort of moment where it's like, if you have the key to the gate and you want to open it up, that's fine. But just know that you can get off anytime you want during this really annoying 40 seconds. It's fine, you know.
Yeah, I felt bad not recommending the video until like 3 weeks after it came out.
I felt bad about having a major part in it and not watching it until 3 days ago.
Not watching
Sorry,
it until we were about to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bro. I've been so busy the past few weeks.
The first few
So
months
have
of
I.
the year are terrible. I don't know what it is. I am legitimately mad every March, and I do the same thing every year. I do a project where I'm just mad. Because let me look at the history of my channel. But the March before that, I did the April Fool's Oblivion video where I made the dungeon mod. Not that angry a project, to be honest, but the March before that was the BioShock video, and then the March before that, I think, was the either Battlefield 3 or Wanted Weapons of Fate video. It's just like every winter, I have a point where I'm just mad. And I think I'm...
How bad are your winters over there?
They're not even that bad. We barely get snow here. It's like, I don't know. There's just something about the first couple months of the year that are terrible as a content creator. It's like I'm legitimately thinking about just taking the first 3 months off of the next winter.
It's not even you. It's literally every single content creator.
No,
if you
it's
notice,
true.
people just don't upload. And it's or like they upload stuff and it's just like half-ass garbage. And it's not until like around this time of the year where it starts picking up again.
Well, part of that is that ad revenue goes down in January after Christmas and doesn't pick back up until Q2. And
But even like the smaller channels where it's like, just upload your shit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even bother timing it, just upload it. Even them, it's just like, they just disappear. I mean, I disappeared because this was the worst semester, almost the worst semester of my life. Second worst.
Yeah, there's just something about the first 3 months of the year that just makes everybody apathetic and lazy and spiteful.
I guess it's like the holidays. I have no other explanation.
So, yeah, I do feel bad for not signal boosting the video.
Oh, you know, it's fine.
Yeah, I've barely been watching anything on YouTube, gaming related for a while.
Yeah, isn't that true? It's just, it feels like all the people I like aren't doing anything.
Or everybody's working on super big projects. It's like half the creators I'm like watching right now are just
Yeah, it's like Patrician TV is cool, but the Skyrim video is not going to be out until way late in the year, so...
Tetra, I wanted to ask you, so after I finished watching your Paperclips video, I immediately started rewatching the Kingdom Hearts video, which is like second go around. I still think your MGS5 video is better it was a little bit more entertaining, but like that Kingdom Hearts video rocked. Not gonna lie. But are you working on part 2 for it? Are you working on the next video?
Oh yeah, no, I just the outline for Chain of Memories is finished. Well, it's practically finished, and once the script starts going up, it's not going to take long to get it going.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I think part of why I uploaded the What is the Fall of the Kingdom video was because I wanted there to be this sort of time capsule of how my perspective of this series and my personal series of YouTube videos covering it will change over time. I thought that the video on Chain of Memories was going to be kind of shorter, maybe like 45 minutes, maybe an hour. It's looking like that's not going to be the case at all.
Those are always the good projects.
Yeah, I mean,
They just start ballooning.
I could make a prediction about how long the Skyrim video will be, but I know that it's going to be longer. Because I think a lot of people don't understand that script editing, you really don't cut a whole lot out.
No.
Because the goal is to keep it lean while you're writing it. And so it's not like a
Right.
movie where they will cut scenes that might not be super important for time. You don't really get that luxury, and so things get things can only go one way, and that's get bigger.
The other problem too is if you're writing and you like front load certain aspects, certain arguments that are gonna become relevant later in the video, you can't remove those first parts then because later parts of the video are reliant on those first parts. So then you just wind up into this issue where it's like, that's why I've already started recording the audio for the first few sections of my Skyrim part 1 video.
Right.
Because it's now a 3-part video, I decided. Well, I guess we'll talk about that later. So I already know I'm referencing the beginning too much for me to cut anything out or change that. So it's like, it's set already. So I'm recording it even though the script isn't even halfway done. And it's just like, now I can actually start editing while I'm writing at the same time, which will help a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think we've gone too far?
I have. I am fucked right now.
I'm definitely entering the realm of absurdity, and this is the point where I have to really start coming up with an answer for what comes after the Skyrim video. And it's like, there's 2 life paths. We either make shorter videos, or we push the fucking envelope and keep going. And
so, I have a lot of ideas. I'm definitely going to plunge like just head first into Fallout stuff. Fallout still doing the best on my channel. My Fallout New Vegas video still is just like, that's been keeping me fed for the past 2 months since I haven't been able to upload anything. Is that fucking Fallout New Vegas video? So I got to go back to Fallout. I just I don't know if I'm going to do Morrowind before it or if I'm going to do Fallout first and then go back to Morrowind.
yeah, that's the thing that people want from me is a New Vegas video, and it's like, that would be such a commitment to me.
I would probably just restart. Like, do what people are gonna see what I'm doing with my Skyrim video, and I'm hoping people understand like the direction I'm starting to take with my channel, and they're gonna be like, oh shit, you can do this for like all the games you've already covered.
So you're going.
Won't happen with Mass Effect, but
what's kind of the direction you're taking? Are you taking a step away from your Skyrim video, which was very kind of observational of the playthrough, into objective analysis?
Yeah, so it's basically, so my Skyrim video was like my old style. The Mass Effect 2 and especially Mass Effect 3 is sort of my second style, and now I'm basically just going to do kind of both at the same time. And it's a very careful balancing act trying to do that. But there's a lot of, it's like, there's a story going on in it, like the character, my character has a story going on, there's like shit that's actually happening. But at the same time, I'm doing mostly analysis stuff. It's just like little gags here and there to just like fill in the void. But
You would say it's more towards the bully style?
yeah, more towards bully, but a little bit more embracing of what I was doing with like my Skyrim video and stuff. It's
It's ambitious.
we're just gonna have to it's definitely testing my fucking sanity, that's for sure. So the thing is, it's like I was sitting down, I started outlining it.
Yeah, that's gonna be outline hell, because you're layering a narrative on top of. How do you take the topics that are Skyrim and divide that into the pieces to make this a watchable thing? You don't want to do the me personally, I don't want to do the Mauler thing where it's like when you sit down to watch one of his videos, you better have a time slot for that entire video, because there's no like break off point where you stop and take a day off kind of deal.
There's going to be natural break off points and stuff. Like, it's broken up into very distinct chapters and things like that. A couple of the chapters roll into each other, but that's just because they were short chapters. But for the most part, it's very segmented, so people should be able to watch it. And on top of which, it's being broken up into 3 parts. So the first part is just about my mage character. The second part will be the melee character. The third part will be the stealth character. And this is because if I do not do that, this video will not be out until probably after your video comes out.
And
It's...
Are you aiming to kind of beat me to market?
No, I'm not. I am utterly convinced that you and I will have very little overlap in what we have to say, because
Right.
I was watching all of your, Skyrim streams and stuff like that, all your research streams, listening to like your opinions and stuff, and I have an idea where a lot of your analysis is going to end up lying, and mine is very... I'm trying to do shit that's just kind of off the walls. So the part that I was working on last night, I tweeted about this. I had this moment last night where I was just writing a section talking about Parthenox and the whole, the Blades want you to kill Parthenox and stuff. I had a moment where I was like just running through, and I realized I actually get like why the Blades want to kill them, and I almost agree with them at this point. So then I just sat there and I literally wrote a legal case argument using legal precedents. I literally invoked shit like the Nuremberg trials and stuff like that to make a case against basically accusing Parthenox of crimes against humanity. And it's just a systematic go through the whole thing like that. And it's like, it's obviously meant to be a joke, but it's at the same time analysis and stuff. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And I don't think, I just get like super attentive with very specific topics. And that's how I'm kind of going through the video.
So something neat I found is that if my sections are in divisions, everything I'm aiming for right now is to be a multiple of 6,000 words. Because what that results in is the videos being easily dividable into half-hour sections. So it's like...
That just reminded me of something. Was it like you just did a stream recently where you said like how your videos are all like even numbers?
Yes.
I never noticed that until you said that. Then I went back, looked through your whole catalog, and I literally shat bricks.
Yeah, it is interesting that the people that trickle in kind of noticing that like the more... So let's see, when did I start that trend? It wasn't with the Fury videos. I think I started doing that with the Battlefield videos. So like Battlefield Part 1 is 11 minutes, Battlefield Part 2 is 12:30, Battlefield 3 is 14 minutes. And then let's see, I did that off and on. The remastered video, the sniper video, the Bioshock videos, and that's where I really got into just every video, other than a few exceptions, all end in 0-0. So like Morrowind is exactly 7 hours and 53 minutes. Oblivion is exactly 12 hours. That one's a special one because I really was like, it really is like skydiving and trying to parachute to a target of like, can't go over, can't go under. And I'm kind of proud of the fact that I don't have to have 30 seconds of like just credits rolling, which is my usual trick.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like now that you have the Patreons and stuff like that, you can just kind of use that as a buffer at the end to even it out.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so a lot of my stuff is like the Morrowind video was exactly 30, the Elden Ring video was exactly 30, the No Man's Sky video is exactly 40. And I don't even aim for that. Like when I'm writing the script, I have a general idea of how many words will make minutes, but it really is just like I feel satisfied when writing a script at like 6,000 words. And so doing the Skyrim video in that way will ensure that the individual parts will be super consistent in terms of length and like break off points, which is my goal.
Yeah. So my concern for my own video is that it's just going to be too much and that I probably should scale back at some point, but I'll find out at the end of this video how it all works out.
That's the kind of gambit we're running against. It's that like these long videos are cool and all, but would we be better served by making the same amount of content as individual videos or stuff like that?
Yeah.
So,
and that's another reason why I want to break it up into different parts and stuff.
I was entertaining that idea for the release. It'll premiere in parts on separate days, but if you pay me money, you can watch the whole thing at once, kind of deal. So I guess we'll talk a bit about your Valheim video. I know it's a bit older since it came out in February, but that is technically your most recent project.
Yeah. So what that was, I was playing Valheim. I actually was playing Valheim because of, was it LARP #1, where you use that as like background footage. And I was like, oh god, I gotta play this game. So I picked it up like right after that, and I started playing it. And I was playing it because I kind of wanted to make some points of comparison between it and Skyrim. But then I realized it's like, this is going to be too much to put into a Skyrim video. So I just want to kind of make it a separate video. So I wound up doing that, but the video just didn't do well view-wise. So I don't know exactly if I'm going to do another like 15, 20-minute long video in the future. Because it was like, for me, it's a lot easier for me to write long stuff than it is to write short stuff. So that script was kind of a pain to write.
So you have difficulty with the functionality of sort of a short script?
Yeah, because I like to talk about, I like context and stuff, so I like, you know, talking about all the stuff around a topic, including the topic itself, so it is so difficult for me not to just turn that into like a 50-minute long, just full-on analysis of all the gameplay mechanics of Valheim and stuff, and just stick to the one thesis.
And then you don't have time to make that.
No, I didn't. That was, I finished that video pretty much right before my semester began, and then yeah, like I said, this is like one of the hardest semesters I ever had of college. So I dropped one of my classes, and it was still like ridiculously difficult. So I haven't really got much production stuff done. It's only been the past like 2 weeks that I actually started doing like real production work again. I'm doing like 10-hour days to try and catch up.
Do you think it might be something like the performance is something to do with like the kickoff of the video? Because it's been a while, so I don't remember how your video starts, but
I think it was just the length of it, really, the length and the topic and stuff. I'm like I said, Fallout New Vegas is still like floating my channel right now, so
right.
I'm doing anything but Fallout content right now, which that's another thing that I kind of want to start working on, is a Fallout 76 video. Or 76 series. I'm not exactly sure how it's structured just yet, but I've been playing it on and off.
I try to make sure my audience knows that, like, not an Elder Scrolls channel. If you see that I talk about No Man's Sky and Elden Ring, and then make another Morrowind video, but I had a different motivation there. That's something that you should be taking as, like, this is the standard of content. And the thing is, like, those videos either like don't perform or perform really well. So it's like I tend to float around 50,000 now for like videos that I work pretty hard on but don't necessarily do that well. And part of that is an audience thing, like how many people who watched my Oblivion video want to see me talk about Red Dead Redemption 2? I would think a lot, and I'm trying to make sure my audience knows, like, this channel is going to go places other than the conventional life path of the review channel, which is, all right, we talked about Elder Scrolls, now it's time to talk about Fallout, now it's time to talk about Dragon Age, you know.
Oh, yeah. I'm also at the point where the problem is that I don't play big RPGs anymore. For the past, like, 4 years, I primarily play strategy games. Management games, things like that, grand strategy games, 4X games. That's my bread and butter right there. Mm-hmm. I stopped playing RPGs back in like 2012. Like after Skyrim kind of burned me, I was just like, I'm kind of over this shit. But they make good videos, so I started with Oblivion, which is a game that I like a lot and I could talk a lot about. So I started with Oblivion, and then I was like, all right, I can do Fallout New Vegas. And then before I knew it, I'm now an RPG channel. So for me, I'm in a situation where it's like, I don't even...
Dude, honestly,
I don't even want to play these games.
Yeah, I want to go away from RPGs because it's just like, I want to review something that only took me 8 hours to play.
Yeah, that too.
That's my big thing.
That's been something that's been like playtime creep has been happening on my channel, and that's fucking me up because when I was doing Darkness and Syndicate 2, those were both 4-hour games. So that was like 8 hours total of playtime, and then I was able to make that video. And that's kind of what I like. It's like, but with No Man's Sky, it was like, yeah, you got to play 20 hours, and then, you know, you got to do another 30 hours if you want to see the real game. And it's like, fuck, I don't want to do that, you know? I don't want to play 50 hours of Elden Ring to make a 30-minute video. It's like, I don't mind that these games are longer, because I played Outer Worlds recently, and it's on the shorter side, but it's still longer than what's ideal, because it's like 25 hours.
Yep.
And it's
I wanted to do a video on, oh gosh, it literally just left my brain. That sort of like double A, RPG with the, like, pirate hats and...
Greedfall?
Greedfall?
Yes, Greedfall. I wanted to do a video on Greedfall, and then I was like, I'm going to have to play through that game like 30 different times
there's
to
a
see
time
all the
investment.
different... Like,
Yeah.
That's what kind of
Yeah.
makes it a nightmare is like, and I'm sure this is the issue that like Joseph Anderson was having was just the
Right.
extreme playtime involved in The Witcher 3.
I can't even imagine.
But yeah, like as games get longer, they also become like more impenetrable from a review standpoint. Like I give people a lot of shit for being wrong about Skyrim, but I understand the reason why a lot of people have issues with Skyrim. It's a surprisingly difficult game to get your hands around.
It's dense. There were parts where I was writing, then I would go back to UASP, read through this section again, and then be like, oh wait, I didn't click that link. I clicked it, and then I realized, oh shit, like 2 paragraphs are completely wrong now.
Yep.
So I have to go back and redo it.
My go-to example is the Dark Brotherhood attack that happens randomly,
Yeah.
because I, for a long time, was under the impression that was a radiantly generated event. So you would do something and then the game would respond with the Dark Brotherhood attack. It's actually just random.
Yeah.
But I can forgive somebody for being on that line of route because there's the Hired Thug event,
Yeah.
which is radiantly, like, dynamically generated based on things you do. So, like, that's the kind of thing that, like, Skyrim seems like a stupidly simple game. You know,
It
I can
also
do
doesn't
it.
help. It also doesn't help that the game basically conditions you to stop thinking. So my biggest fault that I had to literally rewrite, spend an hour and a half just like redoing an entire section because I thought when you go during the main quest, when you go to talk to Brynjolf, you can only talk to Brynjolf. That you have to you have to basically introduce to the you know the Thieves Guild and stuff and do his whole quest and everything. That's not the case. Even though there's no markers or anything, no point in your journal, you can go into the inn there instead, or the tavern, talk to the Argonian barkeep, and then get directed down into the fucking Ratways, and then talk to like Dirge or the tavern keeper down there, and get them to tell you about Esbern.
And I think
Or
it was...
I think you can go. I don't know if you can even just walk straight into walk straight in there.
I think you can go straight there. It was Nocturnal Rambler, I think, that was talking about that as a downside, and we pointed out. But like, that is a completely understandable thing to miss.
Because you're so conditioned to just follow quest markers and just like don't even bother reading the journal. Just follow the quest markers. But even if you do read the journal, it doesn't tell you anything.
That was my observation with the puzzle that you do in Dawnguard to find Serana. Is that there are people who have issues with that puzzle despite its extreme simplicity, and I think my observation was the game conditions you into doing these picture block puzzles that are so simple that when the game literally expects anything beyond that, people have trouble. So I ended up having trouble with the Bloodscowl Barrow puzzle, which is also straightforward, but it's less straightforward than the Serana one. Do you know that one?
No, I don't.
It's at the base of the mine in Raven Rock. So for that puzzle, you get the sword, and when you swing the sword, it shoots energy out.
Oh, right, yeah.
So the door has these red lines on it that you're supposed to line up the swings with, and I did not understand what the game wanted from me because. Again, I had been so conditioned into doing these picture block puzzles.
Did you read the journal?
No, I maybe I did. I don't recall if I did. I'm sure the journal makes it obvious. But it's
I read the journal and I was kind of like...
Creation Club ruined journals, though.
Yeah.
I'm not reading all this shit, and so it's like, now I see journals that are in the base game, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And that's what I noticed with the companions was like, it's really weird that all these Nords know how to write... and are of the persuasion that they should write their feelings down in these journals. It's almost like textual writing has advantages. But yeah, the Creation Club just fucked journals in Skyrim, in my opinion.
The Creation Club fucked a lot of shit in Skyrim.
Yeah, that's going to be the fun part of the Skyrim video is... my goal is to talk about all of the creations. There might be a couple that fall off the wagon, but... Yeah.
So far, I've just been peppering it in. So, like, I had a whole section talking about the followers. So I talked about my experiences with some of the follower creations and stuff like that. So that's pretty much how I'm going to work it in.
I'm going to be honest, it never crossed my mind to do part, I think it would be 10 when I was originally outlining it. Part 10, Creation Club, and have a whole section on the Creation Club, because I feel like that would just lose people.
Yeah.
It's a very fun spice to throw in when relevant. So, like, I talk about the cause after I talk about Mehrunes Dagon's quest, or I talk about Ghosts of the Tribunal during Dragonborn. So it's like, you just talk about the creations around the time that they're relevant. And I keep them short, too, because they're not much really to talk about. A lot of them talk shit.
There's only so many different ways where you could just say, yeah, this is fucking broken garbage.
You legitimately are expected to pay $20 to make your game worse. Okay, so what's everybody got in the pipeline? I'll go last.
Tetra can go first.
Yeah, so it's right now the Chain of Memories video, which, I don't know, another month or two, maybe.
Do you feel some adversity for that? Because I just see that Kingdom Hearts stuff and my brain kind of turns off. And I know that's a bias, but like, I think I've said this to you before. It's really hard for me to take the topic seriously.
I understand, absolutely. The games, especially ever since the first one, so like, my whole point with the first video was just to show that, like, there was some legitimate, like, good to be had, you know, in that first game, especially in terms of the story. Like there are very few people that have played through the games and say that there's never been anything worthwhile in the combat, which would be a ridiculous point to take. But story-wise, the series has gotten to a point of absolute insanity that it is hard to take seriously. I think that there's a lot of people that feel the same way about Metal Gear, and so maybe that'll just be the niche that I fulfill, is
insane Japanese media.
Yeah, insane Japanese media.
With obsessions with Western culture.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I mean, but before I feel like I said this recently too, but before I was doing analysis content, I had an idea for a video where I compare the stories of Kingdom Hearts and Metal Gear Solid, because there's a lot of similarities there. There's multiple characters who are different people, but also the same person. There's like all these different like organizations that are working against each other, and sort of the way that the story plays out by starting out kind of simple and then getting way too convoluted as the story goes on. Like, they have a lot of similarities, and it isn't just the fact that they're both made by Japanese developers. But yeah, and so I kind of hope that I can sort of, like, for the people that don't have any interest in the series really, if they want to, you know, still watch the videos just because they like me or whatever, that I can kind of show them, you know, what is worthwhile in the series, because there is a lot there. But like I said in the introduction, maybe I don't even recommend people play it at this point, just because it's gotten to the point of absolute indecipherability.
So, for me, I have no interest in Disney. I have basically no interest in JRPGs, but I am very fascinated by people who love this franchise specifically. And I told you, I was like, I'm really excited to see your perspective on this, because I want somebody to explain to me why they like this game so much, why they like this franchise so much. And your first video definitely started to, it helped me understand, especially after the second watch. I was like, okay, there's a lot of stuff here that they did that was definitely fresh, like the whole 3D action RPG and stuff.
Yeah.
So like I'm starting to get it now, and that's why I've been watching, even though I have no investment in this franchise whatsoever. I almost certainly will never play it, but I'm still very much enjoying the videos, and I'm excited to see the second part.
Well, isn't that something we provide, is an opportunity for people who, for various reasons, decide to not play a game to be hip to the culture of an understanding of the games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why people will say, like, oh, well, why do you summarize, like, some of the stuff about the story and everything. Like, everybody knows the story who's watching this. It's like, not necessarily. I get a lot of people in my videos who like, I never played Fallout New Vegas or the story, and now I understand some of the story and stuff. Thank you for explaining it.
I consider my videos, the long ones specifically, to be kind of partial playthrough replacements.
Yeah.
I mean, all the time you can go on these long form analysis videos and see people leaving the whole like, I've never played this game, but I just watched a 4-hour long video on it. What am I doing with my life? You know, it happens all the time. And that is definitely something that I appreciate as someone who has limited time.
Well, speaking
to play video games and stuff.
I've wanted to bring him up a couple times. Jeweler and his Daggerfall video.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ways into that, and originally I was gonna note take it because apparently there's some interest in like him hearing kind of my observations and giving him pointers in the right direction. But like, I got a couple minutes in, and I just kind of stopped taking notes and kind of just like got into the video. Yeah, like most of my notes are in the first 30 seconds. I think his introduction needs work, but other than that, it's a generally solid video.
It's a very solid video. His coverage of, so I started watching, I got like halfway through when he was like live releasing them, and then I fell off, and then I saw he released the full thing, and I was just like, oh nice, all right, I'll watch that, someday. That was like, 2 months ago. And then I noticed the other day, I was like, wait, what the fuck? It's at like 450,000 views?
Yeah.
All right, I got to watch this immediately. So I started watching it, and yeah, like the introduction where he's talking about the development and stuff, I'm like, this is really good. Like,
yeah, like my issue was like he's got these slide wipe sounds when he transitions, but only for like the first 30 seconds. That I found really distracting. But other than that,
there's there's like little mistakes here and there, but for the most part,
I don't even think so. Like, so the things I wrote down at 20 seconds, you could say that like his opinion was basically Stockholm syndrome. Like, he loves Daggerfall so much because he played it during the pandemic, and it's like, well, I mean, you play any game for a long time, you're eventually gonna like it just because you. Oh, maybe not Skyrim, because I played 6,000 hours of Skyrim and I hate it, but I mean, it felt like Stockholm syndrome. And then like he says immersive sim, and I disagree with the opinion that any of the Elder Scrolls games are immersive sims.
I get that take though.
And then the noisy slide wipe transitions kind of bothered me, but then it was over an hour before I wrote anything else down, because like he just did that good a job at making that video.
Yeah, it's just structured very well.
But I think for a lot of people that video is going to be a playthrough replacement of Daggerfall. It's going to get people into the video, especially with the progress that Daggerfall Unity's been making. But I think a lot of people are just, their Daggerfall, their knowledge about Daggerfall is going to stem from that video, which is a good thing because that video does a good job. You don't want a situation where, like, people have been saying this about Dark Souls 2 lately, that like everybody's opinions on that game are based on YouTubers. Now, I want to say for the record, I have never seen a video on Dark Souls 2. No, really, I haven't. I haven't seen Matthew Matosis's video. I haven't seen the H-Bomber guy and Mauler stuff. My opinion on Dark Souls 2 is entirely predicated on the time I spent with it, which was less than ideal. So I don't like that game.
I only watched people play that, like, Let's Plays and stuff on Twitch. That I didn't watch any analysis of that game.
Yeah, I guess I've seen Yahtzee's Let's Play when he was doing Let's Drown Out as a series with his friend. That's worth a watch. But otherwise, like, yeah, my Dark Souls 2 opinion is entirely predicated on the fact that I just did not enjoy playing either version of the game.
Yeah, but you're a YouTuber. Of course you would say that. You're the one who made the opinions.
Yeah. People definitely overstate the power of influencers. Do you like the term influencer? I don't.
I wouldn't consider myself one.
Yeah.
There's some people who don't like the term content creator, actually.
Yeah, I guess content has like a connotation of like it's just meant to be consumed and then thrown away, which is like
it's disposable.
Well, I mean, it kind of is, honestly.
I would say my shorter videos are disposable. I would say that my longer videos are something to be something that I would consider to be like long term.
So, I have this thing where
other than the literal fact that it's long.
I like to download videos that I really, really enjoyed and think I'll watch for like years to come. I'll download them and put them onto like onto an external hard drive and just like preserve them just in case anything happens to that channel, which has happened. There's entire channels of catalogs that I have now. The channels like either don't exist or they got nuked or something like that.
Yeah,
so it's worked out in my favor.
That's a good thing because that's how we ended up with the caption, the 720p caption video.
Yeah, exactly. If there's like, this is my advice to anybody out there. If there's like a YouTuber that you really like, content that you feel like you're going to watch over and over again, that you're going to want to watch for the years to come, download that stuff and fucking back it up, save it somewhere. Because if that channel dies, you'll have the fucking records and you can do re-uploads and stuff like that.
Well, and so there's a world of difference between archiving it for your own personal use and re-uploading it. I'm kind of on the fence about re-uploads. So it's like I'm sitting on all of Will's catalog that he took down after he came back. I've heard an idea of putting it onto like a BitTorrent site. Right.
And like that's what, so like one of the channels that I archived, whatever, somebody else did something with a few of their videos and they're like, what, do you want me to re-upload? He's like, nah, just upload it onto like BitTorrent or something and just seed it.
Right. That's how, I mean, I got it from a web archive, but the E3 2005 footage that I used.
For Oblivion?
Yeah, that's how I got my hand on it.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff you have to go to the source and try to find the highest quality version, and someone actually tried to AI upscale it and it didn't work out that well. But so
yeah, going back to my original point though,
so
is
let's
like,
say, I want to ask this. If you quit YouTube and you delete all your videos, do you think it would be a good thing if somebody was like re-uploading your videos?
I wouldn't care at that point. If like I got so sick of it that somebody wanted to re-upload, then by all means, I don't care. I would just be flattered that somebody actually thought my stuff was worth downloading, because that was my original point. It's like, I am very selective with the stuff that I download. So I recently discovered this dude, Dovati or something like that. He does like, he does videos about, well, he did a series about Rome, like the entire history of Rome. But he did it in such like just a hilarious fucking way. And like a lot of it, like a lot of the humor is very like fringe, edgy stuff that, you know, probably would get you banned in certain circles and stuff like that on certain platforms. I'm surprised some of his videos are still up.
Right.
And but it was like just the quality of the videos and stuff, the craftsmanship and just the dedication, the fact that he finished and stuff. It was one of the best things I've seen on YouTube in years. So immediately I downloaded that. And it's like, I would love to make stuff that people feel that obligation towards, that compulsion of like, I want to preserve this somehow.
Right, and that's why the long videos for me take so long, because that's what I want those to be. I don't necessarily think that about all of my videos, though.
No, definitely not. And I have a feeling, because there's a lot of like channels and stuff that, you know, I've watched over the years, and they usually have like maybe 2 or 3 video series where it's like, it was that level of quality. Like you can only do it so many times.
That's kind of depressing.
I don't know, but
I don't want to say, oh yeah, the Skyrim video, that's his magnum opus. It was all downhill from there.
I don't know. I'm one of those people where it's like, I can definitely sit there and objectively say what I think were my favorites of somebody's catalog.
Tetramore, you peaked at Metal Gear Solid 5.
Metal Gear Solid 5. No,
you're right.
See,
I mean,
you get the,
I should've just uploaded
the 3.
the one video and then dropped off the face of the planet.
You get the 3, so
like
you
Will.
have 2 more.
That was, yeah, I think that was Will's problem, was that the Oblivion video for him was extremely popular, but it didn't translate to like a channel the same way that he thought it was.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why, like, in 6 months I managed to outpace Will on my Oblivion video in like the 5 years that he had been up, was that I think his video is kind of rough to listen to compared to mine.
Well, it's also
not to shit talk him. I admire that project.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason I got into YouTube. Like, seriously, that's why I made my Oblivion video while I'm here now, is because of that video. I think the reason your video just did better is because your channel is just more active. You have more people posting comments, you release more videos and stuff like that. YouTube loves activity. That's basically it. If you're not active, your shit's gonna just fall by the wayside, unfortunately.
Yeah, it sucks that Will has never gotten to take the opportunity to kind of top that video.
Yeah. It's difficult though, because you reach a point where, as a creator, you go like, how the fuck do I even top this? Because like you're just talking about right now with earlier with the Skyrim video, like I don't know how I'm going to transition away from this.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody expects, I call them intuitive sequels. Other Bethesda games, obviously, Dark Souls, Dragon Age.
But it's like if you drop a 15-hour long Skyrim video, what do you have to do? A 20-hour long Fallout New Vegas video? Like that's the sort of expectations that start to arise.
I think to do a 20-hour Fallout video, you would have to do 3 in New Vegas in the same video. I'm going to be right back. I need to refill my water bottle.
Okay. Let's see.
All right, this is our chance. What do we want to say bad about Pat while he's gone?
So going back to like the Kingdom Hearts video, with Kingdom Hearts 2, why is it, like how much bigger is the video sprawling for you?
So the next video is actually not on Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh,
yeah, no, it's on a game called Chain of Memories, which came out in between the two. On the Game Boy.
This is why I need somebody to walk me through this fucking.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many, like you have like the 1.5 and then like the 2.5. And it's like, what the fuck?
For outsiders, it is absolutely impenetrable. For people that are inside, it actually kind of makes sense. But it's like, why is there a game in the series that's called Kingdom Hearts 2.8, Birth by Sleep, A Fragmentary Passage? That's literally the title. You know, and it kind of makes sense because it's the game that takes place chronologically right before 3. It's after 2. It's after the one that came out in between 2 and 3, which was Dream Drop Distance, which makes it 2.8. You know, like that's why they did that. But
it is pretty stupid. It's like when patches, they hit like version 0.75, and it's like, it's going to take us a while to get to 1, so they have to start doing 0.76, 0.76.1.2.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what they ended up. I mean, the quote unquote spin-off games in the Kingdom Hearts series have spiraled out of control like mad. And that's why the series is going to take so long for me to get through it all, is because it all matters. You know?
So when I thought you were just doing the main installments. I didn't even realize that you were doing like the little like GBA games and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, well that's the thing, is that the GBA game holds the key to understanding what happens in Kingdom Hearts 2. If you don't play it, if you don't know the story, you're not going to know what's going on.
Oh my god.
He's doing the Noah Caldwell-Gervais thing of reviewing literally every Resident Evil game.
Yes, that's actually what I'm doing. Because you kind of have to. It's like if you skip the GBA, well then it's like, okay, well while I'm reviewing Kingdom Hearts 2, it's like, how do I make this story make sense to people that haven't played the GBA game? That also to the fact that the GBA game is really good, surprisingly speaking. So anyway,
you might be wondering why my voice was going. I want to know if you guys do this. When I'm doing the editing process for my scripts, I will verbally read them out. But I don't, it's not a recorded verbal reading. And it's not doing that like big presentation, but I am speaking the words. Do you guys do that?
I see what you mean.
Sometimes, if I want to know how a section's going to sound, because my reading voice is completely different from like my internal reading voice. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes I'll forget the tone that I was imagining when I was writing a section. So then when I'm like actually editing a section, I'll be sitting there like just trying to reread it, trying to remember how it was supposed to sound.
Yeah, like my worst nightmare is you're doing the voiceover and you find something that doesn't work and you have to fix it while recording.
Well, that's exactly what I do. I just like the first time that I read through a script is always the recording. And part of that is because I want it to have this sort of like natural feel to it, right? And so I don't want it to feel rehearsed.
Well, that's
much.
my justification for doing it the way I do, because when I write something, it has more of an academic presentation to it compared to how you would actually speak it.
Yeah, my grammar usage in my scripts is fucking terrible because I use grammar, like I'll use semicolons and stuff to mean something in my script. So when I'm actually reading it in a recording, I know how I want it to be pronunciated.
Yeah, it's like, why
So
is
it's
this
like-
italicized? And it's like, that's directions for somebody who's going to be reading the fucking script in 3 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you don't do that, then what you were writing and the way that you were picturing yourself reading it off will be lost in the time between you writing it down and you doing the voice.
Especially if you wrote the script 6 months ago, and
Yeah,
that's another reason why I like to record it as soon as I can.
right. My approach is I'm not recording any voiceover until I have the final draft stamp done. But once I do it, I'm going to do probably an hour at a time, and I'm going to stream it. But the stream is going to be done in a way where you can't hear the voiceover while I edit. And I'm not going to edit any of the bits. I'm just going to do like the footage as it plays, like the general footage, so that there's no like getting spoiled.
Interesting.
Wait, I'm confused. Walk me through that again.
I have Premiere Play on an audio device that OBS will not pick up, and then I put like general footage on the screen. So it's like if I'm talking about combat, I'm just going to find footage of me fighting, and I'm not talking about anything specific in combat. It's just a general discussion. You put up footage of me fighting, and then all the people on the stream will see is that I am editing. They won't hear the voiceover. They won't see the bits.
Will they hear you?
They'll hear me.
Are you gonna?
Yeah, they'll hear me talking on the stream.
Okay, so you'll still be on the mic, like just responding to chat and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll be chatting with chat kind of deal.
So you'll like, okay, all right, I see it now.
So I'm trying to get the word out that that's the way I want to handle the editing streams, so that anybody who's on the fence about watching them because they don't want to have the Skyrim videos spoiled, or they don't want to hear like. The big thing to me is like I don't care if the sentiment of the script gets out. It's some of the jokes that I tell, because I'm always proud of the jokes the editing jokes that I write into the script. Most of it I come up with while editing, but the ones that are in the script are the funny ones.
And so much like humor is almost entirely about presentation. So if you get like just the rawest, this is just how it was written. No, like nothing else done to it or whatever. It's probably just going to ruin a lot of the jokes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I never got editing streams. Like I would always see them on Twitch and stuff. I see them all the time, and I'm just like, why would I ruin this video for myself? And these are like, this is from like content creators who like they release one video every 6 months, and so it's like it's a big.
You mean
project.
YMS?
Yeah. So it's like, why am I gonna watch it? Why are there like 500 people watching this right now?
Right.
We're literally ruining the video for themselves.
Yeah, I think YMS actually like shows the video as he's editing it, whereas mine's gonna be you're just gonna have me, and so.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. Like an editing video or editing stream where it's like you won't actually be seeing the editing process per se.
Yeah, you'll just be it'll just be a way for me to edit and have fun with it.
Yeah,
because
his editing is fucking miserable.
Yeah, editing is where God, every part except voiceover is the part where you have the 3 a.m. bike rides, where you're questioning your will to keep going. And
I was actually looking at bikes the other day. I was like, I need to, after being locked in my room for months on end and shit, not talking to people, just doing nothing but working, doing schoolwork and stuff like that. I've just been so mentally tapped. So I started looking at bicycles and stuff. I'm like, I can't pay $1,000 for a bike. So I went for a walk yesterday at a park that I've never done. It was actually a hike. I've never done that before in my life. And as I'm like hiking, I'm just like coming up with all these ideas for like videos and like stuff for the Skyrim video. And then I got home last night and wrote the section that I feel like is one of the, it's my favorite part of the video.
Oh yeah, it's important. I should put I should put all the gas station clerks that I see in the credits. Even if I don't tell them about the video, but it's just like that element of like you hit a roadblock and then being able to go out and really think about it while
yeah,
out and about is important.
I basically built that into my daily routine. Just having the video constantly swirling around in my brain as much as possible, you know? Just to, like, I'll even have editing bits and stuff like that for like a section of the video that I'm not even close to getting to yet. It'll be spinning around so that when I get there, I'm like, yep, this is the way that it needs to be, and it's interesting to me to hear that you all kind of do the same thing.
I have a pretty
sort of
big
a different way.
bit that's coming up, but it actually costs money. So that's what the Morrowind video was about. Because for those who don't know, GOG reached out to me for an affiliate deal on Morrowind, which I accepted because I can put it on the Morrowind video, and then when the Skyrim video comes out, they watch Morrowind, and then they want to get the game. I have an option to make a little extra cash from that, but I'm doing this bit, and I've been committed to it since writing the Oblivion video. That's how old this Skyrim bit is. Is it literally goes back to, I think, March of last year.
Dang.
So I guess I'll talk about what I'm going to be doing, and then we can just have like the general part of the podcast. So if there's some gaming news or something you want to talk about, you can think about it while I mention what I'm working on. So for a while, I've been working on talking about space games, and I was going to do Fallout 76 ahead of Starfield, so that I have a basis of comparison for Starfield. Plus, it's like I get an opportunity to talk about these games. I played Outer Worlds recently, and some people who've been paying attention might notice, wasn't Elite Dangerous supposed to be next? The problem is that apparently every game I have to talk about ahead of Starfield requires at least 50 fucking hours of playtime to actually fully appreciate. And it's such a time-consuming thing that it's like Elite Dangerous had to go, and one of them had to go. It couldn't be No Man's Sky because I already did it. It couldn't be Fallout 76 because that's what I actually do need to play ahead of Starfield. I need to see how that game is. And so it was a choice between Elite Dangerous and the Outer Worlds, and it's like, okay, which one is Starfield going to be more like? I bet it's going to be more like the Outer Worlds. So Elite Dangerous had to go. I know a few space fans are going to be disappointed in that, because I think they wanted me to talk about the most recent expansion that busted some stuff.
Yeah. So as an Elite Dangerous player, I have like about 200 hours in it, which is not much comparative to a lot of other players. But I've been waiting on that expansion for a very long time, way before they even announced it, like a lot of other OG Elite Dangerous fans, and it's apparently still fucked up. Mm-hmm. So I actually just installed Elite Dangerous earlier today because I want to go back and just like play for a few days or something like that. But I still haven't gotten the expansion because I'm like, they need to fix it before I fucking pay money for it.
Right. Yeah, so that is it is disappointing, but it's like, it's that or the Skyrim video, which is always tough picking children to cut. But yeah. It's like, I was entertaining the idea of doing a Brink video, and it's like, well, why do you have time to do a Brink video and not an Elite Dangerous video? And it's because Brink is way fucking simpler. But I feel like that would just be like a fun little side visit to some
I
game.
don't even know. I haven't played the newest expansion. See, the thing is like, if you want to talk about Elite Dangerous and compare it to what Starfield might be, you probably would have to get the new expansion.
Yes. That's why it was on the list originally.
Yeah, but like without the expansion, you could probably just talk about it for like, maybe 30 minutes or so, 20 minutes. It's not that deep of a game. It really is just truck simulator in space. Just very immersive.
Yeah, but I still feel like it would be a time commitment, and it does suck because...
Oh, no, because that game has such a steep learning curve, so it is 50 hours before you even really understand the game. And then it's like another like 50 hours before you have enough progression to be able to say, okay, I've seen most of the content in the game enough to be able to discuss it. So you're talking about a 100-hour commitment to play that game. Yeah. Just to talk about it.
And the shitty part is that...
For a video that would be like 20 to 30 minutes long.
Yes. That's an issue. And I don't get to talk about some of the hard science stuff that I kind of wanted to talk about, like with black holes and quasars and, you know, just space stuff in general that I wanted to kind of touch on my channel before we ever talk about Starfield. Because I am kind of into...
Why don't you just do like a one-off video where you just talk about space stuff?
Just talk about space stuff. Because I don't know. I thought about doing a one-off video talking about temperature. I was going to talk about the basis of what a temperature unit actually measures and why Fahrenheit is superior for day-to-day usage.
And there goes the comment section.
We almost made it out.
So, yeah, the next the next Starfield lineup video is going to be the Outer Worlds, which I've played through. I might play a little bit more of it on the Supernova difficulty. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with what that entails.
Yeah. Yep.
But for the most part, that one's a tricky one because it's a very political game and it's very complicated in its politics. It's not... If it was... It would be simpler if it was just anti-capitalism, but it's disingenuous to say that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a difficult game for me to talk about right now, and it's like I'm at a critical stage with the Skyrim script. So that's got to be my attention for the next while.
And the question too is, if you want to do this video or cover this game to give yourself a basis for Starfield, do you really think that Starfield's going to get into those like super deep, you know, political aspects and stuff that you would have to talk about?
I think it'll broach some of the subjects. I would say that Bethesda's not entirely absent of political storylines. I think that
definitely
they're
not.
less than Obsidian, but I would say more than nothing.
I think, and they're also very subtle in their use and stuff. That's why I mean, I've noticed it for a while now, but I really started to go off the deep end when I started talking about Parthenox. And there's a logical connection between Parthenox, the Nazis, and the Nuremberg trials. Like, straight up, I was able to make a connection there. There's more to Bethesda's storytelling than people give them credit for. It's just super deep, just super buried, basically, and poorly presented a lot of the time.
Buried under really basic stuff like the Thalmor.
Yes. Yeah, like stuff that makes you turn your fucking brain off.
Yeah, it's like, this game's fucking stupid. Like,
yeah. But even the Thalmor, it's like, there's still like something in there.
Yeah, a lot of untapped potential.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, everybody who plays Skyrim walks away with the perception that Tamriel, with the biggest power being the Aldmeri Dominion, would be a bad thing. So I think right there they've already had a failure of storytelling. It's like, why is a man-dominated world okay, but not a mare-dominated world? So yeah, other than that, Skyrim videos in the works. I might pull the trigger on some side projects that aren't entirely relevant. You know, your Battlefront 2s and Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast videos of the world that I like to occasionally put out because those are fun.
Yeah. And ideally you can tap into that nostalgia vein a little bit.
Yeah. And the thing is, Battlefront 2, the Harry Potter games, and the Jedi Knight games, those are all games that were like genuinely part of my childhood. And that list is rapidly diminishing. So at some point I'm going to start talking about games that weren't part of my childhood, but I kind of got into as an adult. Like Half-Life, for example, is a game that I didn't play until over a decade after the games came out, and I thought that Half-Life 1's really good.
What about that World of Warcraft video?
Oh yeah, that fucking thing. God, that's such a nightmare, because Blizzard's supposedly doing something that probably won't revive the world. It's an issue that the game's had for a long time, and I might just like hammer something out to get a use out of it.
That's the struggle with covering games that are actively being developed.
Well, part of it
like
was
live
that
surface games and stuff.
I wanted to talk about Wrath of the Lich King in relation to Skyrim, and how the influences that expansion had on Skyrim. Because I can kind of tell that a couple of the developers picked up World of Warcraft between Oblivion and Skyrim.
Interesting.
So, yeah. I think that's today's subject done. What do you guys want to talk about?
Anybody play old school RuneScape?
Oh God,
Yes,
yes.
he did. I played a bit, but not as much as him.
Oh, have you?
Well, yeah, I just picked it back up. Well, what made
Oh,
me pick
God,
it back
no.
up was the settled doing his McTile series, where he can only like unlock tiles by like buying 1,000 or getting 1,000 experience, and he buys tiles throughout the game. That's where the only places he can go. Has been super entertaining, and I was like, you know what, I want to play that again. And so I've sunk like over 24 hours in it in the past like 2 weeks, just ambiently as I'm like working on videos or on my phone.
Yeah, it's one of those games where you can just sit there, set it, and then just like you just gotta sit there and move the camera around so you don't get locked out. It's basically it.
Yeah,
I've been very careful.
it's super great for
about-
idling.
I've been very careful about not picking up more crack cocaine games.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I just like this one because it doesn't feel like it's actually like killing my productivity in any way.
Right.
It just is like it's like a quick dopamine hit whenever I need it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I toyed with the idea of playing that as like an idle game while I do like writing and editing and stuff, but I'm just too easily distracted, so I eventually shelved that.
How many hours have you sunk?
I mean, I played, most of my playtime was back in the day when I was like between the ages of like 12 and like 16. I played a lot. Let's just put it that way. That was like it was that and Halo 2. And I had probably about 3,000 hours in Halo 2. So that should give you some.
That was what I was going to bring up. Me and a friend have been going through the co-op campaigns of Halo games. And
Oh man.
My description of his taste would be that he is pretty much a pleb in terms of his taste. So I thought he wasn't going to like Halo 1, but he actually liked it a lot.
Oh, he never played it before.
Yeah, he hadn't played the Bungie trilogy.
Oh.
He got in during Reach, so there was like an opportunity to like gauge him for this that fascinated me. So I was recording the playthrough. Unfortunately, I didn't record his mic during the Halo 1 playthrough, so I can't really use it. But we've been doing Halo 2, and I gotta say, my opinions have not changed. I am not a big fan of Halo 2's campaign, especially compared to the first one.
I don't know, man. The thing is, like Halo 2's, there's certain levels like Gravemind and High Charity that are just so fucking good, and then you got horrible levels like Quarantine Zone and Sacred Icon.
Yeah, that's sort of what we thought was like. Those two levels that you mentioned that take place on High Charity are awesome. They're they're mechanically perfect. They are
peak Halo 2.
Those are levels designed to use the mechanics in a way that's intelligent.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And the story is interesting. You have like a lot of storytelling just going on around you that's not in cutscenes and stuff. If you're sitting there listening to the radio chatter, there's all this shit going on, and it's like it's just such a good level. But then it's just like, but then I have to slog through so many just either mediocre levels like Outskirts or I kind of like Kyra Station. I think it's a pretty good introduction for a Halo game, but Halo 2 is like has 3 good levels, and the rest is just as compared to Halo 1, where it's like, I'm in the minority where I don't like 2 Betrayals and
I thought that was a common opinion. I really like 2 Betrayals, and I don't like Keys. I
like Keys. See, I like the tight corridor shooter levels. I hate the open levels.
Yeah, our consensus with Keys was that Halo 2 does that premise a lot better with Gravemind and High Charity.
Yeah, Halo 2 probably does do the corridor shooter stuff a little bit better, but I still really liked it in Halo 1. I love Maw's my favorite level. Keys I really enjoyed.
I understand Maw. I don't understand Keys, and I definitely don't understand 2 Betrayals.
Oh, I don't like. I just don't like two betrayals, and I don't like. I just don't like the open levels. I don't like Halo. I like. Like I said, I just like the corridor shooter levels. Library's okay.
My friend actually liked Library a lot more than I thought he would. I
Really?
personally think Library is an awesome level.
I think it's pretty okay. It's too long is the problem. If it was like 2 levels shorter, it'd be fine.
My kind of...
Oh, and 343 Guilt.
Our
343 Guilty Spark is that might actually be my favorite level in that game, actually. Now I'm thinking about it, is 343 Guilty Spark.
It loses a lot of its luster once you know what it's doing.
Yeah, but it's still a fun level.
Like, my friend knew what the Flood was, but he got to be surprised by it, which was
yeah,
cool.
he didn't know the reveal there. Yeah.
Our issue was with Halo 2, first of all, the anniversary port that's on the Master Chief Collection is abysmal. We have experienced a lot of just intermittent crashing, where the game doesn't crash, it just kicks you back to the menu for no reason. And part of it is that we think that it has difficulty with vehicle sections. So all of the cool Halo 2 vehicle sections we haven't got to play. All those tank missions. That's got to be the worst fucking thing.
Yeah, because, like, Delta Halo is a good level. Like, if I was to give somebody who's never played Halo 2 a game a level to play, it would be Delta Halo.
Yeah, so like all the vehicle sections, or all the levels that are reliant on vehicle sections have that issue. And so that's been kind of a stinger. Like, we were almost done with Halo 2 and it crashed on the final level during the Banshee sequence. And that's such a fucking long level.
You know what? I was playing through recently. I did have issues on that. I had a soft lock. I didn't have a crash. I had a soft lock, so I had to restart the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, it just kicks you back to menu and it doesn't give you an error code. So it's like impossible to look up and see like what's causing it.
Did you guys have like weird like lag and shit like that?
We did.
Or any like desyncs?
The first time we played Delta Halo, we had massive stuttering issues where we just kind of lock up for a second, but it eventually crashed back to menu, and then we restarted the level and it stopped having that issue. Like, and this is in the context of Halo 1 on the Master Chief Collection worked flawlessly. So I'm just waiting until Halo 3, which I think is going to be
Halo 2 has
functional.
always been, Halo 3 it was always the most solid of the Master Chief Collection. Halo 2 has always been the problem child for whatever reason. I mean, not for whatever reason. The engine is literally held together by like fucking duct tape and like super glue. That's why they had like super bouncing and stuff back in the day. It's just a fucking nightmare of an engine. But yeah, it's always been a problem with MCC, and it's like it's the best it's ever been right now.
Yeah,
that's really fucking saying something.
So I might be cutting a video of a supercut of our playthrough, because there's some amusing stuff in there.
Yeah.
Nice. Has either of you played Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe yet?
I played the original. Well, okay, so I played the original when it came out as a game.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But no.
I don't remember anything about the original game, so like, if I was to replay it, I guess I would get the new version. I mean, I don't even know what's in the new version.
Well, you might as well, because it's just the same game, but there's more after the original. I mean, the original game is completely intact, and then they've like sort of duct taped some more stuff onto it. That is some of my favorite stuff. It's so funny. I don't know, like, don't necessarily go into it expecting them to have like a really profound, at least if there is a really sort of like profound narrative like they sort of had going on in the first one, then I haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was laughing out loud multiple times. It's really, really good.
I played Superliminal while I was sick.
That sounds like a interesting game to play while you're not feeling well.
Yeah, I had a few issues with it, like with some of its ideas about the perspective trickery, because
a lot of people were saying that sort of thing.
There's a couple puzzles that are completely arbitrary, and so it kind of has that issue where It feels like each puzzle is developed independently, and then they just connect the hallways to it. And so if there's one that doesn't work, like, it doesn't get fixed.
Yeah.
I actually haven't really been playing much lately. Aforementioned school and spending time working on stuff. But when I'm like really fucking busy, the last thing I really want to do is play video games, so I just wind up watching a lot of crap or reading and stuff.
Do you ever have that like feeling that you should record every video game that you play?
Oh god, yeah.
I hate that shit. Sometimes I have to lay out rules like, I'm not recording this, I'm never gonna talk about this. I just want to play a video game.
So, especially for me, like when I was saying how most, like everything that I play for fun is like strategy-based games, so I have just been playing a lot of City Skylines, because it's a very easy Zen game. I'll like load up, start a new map, and then I'll just sit there for 10 hours straight, just playing a city to its, like to finale pretty much. And there was a point where I was sitting there, I was like, you know, I really probably should like record some of this. Maybe I could make a video, or like, I was even floating the idea of starting like a second channel that was like strategy games and stuff. And I was just like, I don't have the fucking time. And the last thing I want to do is ruin the one thing that I, like, games that I can play for fun still by turning it into work.
Yeah, you got to be careful about over jobifying your passions, because it already is sort of jobifying a passion, you know, and that's okay. But then once, you know, you got to have that time to sort of just be.
1 second.
He's recording.
Yeah, Freddy Fazbear got disconnected for some reason.
You got to sort of have that time to just acknowledge that, yeah, like, I like playing video games. I'm just gonna do that.
Yeah.
You know?
You also need to like set the time aside where it's like, all right, tonight, like no more working, just do something fun and get your mind off of shit, because it's very easy to be sitting there. Like, I always have my script open on my desktop. It's always there ready to go, because if like some idea comes to me, I just open up real fast and just like put it in and then close it again. But I never like really disconnect, which is it can become a little draining after a point.
Just keep your wrists in good health.
Yeah.
That's an important thing. You don't want to end up with carpal tunnel or any of those wrist issues that people have that keep them from working.
Oh yeah.
Don't be like YMS.
Yeah, you don't want to, you know, it's like being an alcoholic. You want to avoid liver issues so that you can keep drinking.
What did you all think of that YMS video on Lion King, by the way?
I thought he did a pretty good job.
There were a couple things that he sort of took offense to that I thought that he kind of had that sort of like blinded approach to, like, you know how you're like, this movie's so bad that everything is bad?
Right.
You know, there were a couple things where I was like, that's not actually like a problem, I don't think. Or it wasn't exactly the way that he thought that it was.
Yeah,
but,
I think he massively overplaces responsibility of issues on Jon Favreau when it was
That's
probably
true,
some
yeah.
department head who made the decision. And it's like,
which may be a joke, but like, yeah.
It comes off as like Red Letter Media focusing all their prequel hate on George Lucas.
Right.
It's sort of like with Elder Scrolls videos focusing on Todd Howard. I think there's a tendency to try to find a singular person and pin responsibility on them because we run one-man shows, typically.
Yeah, but also it's easier to villainize like a person rather than saying, oh yeah, it was probably like the art department.
Yeah,
you know?
like with the fur black.
It's more
back glow.
satisfying too.
He mentions the fur back glow a lot, and we don't really know, is that something that Jon Favreau was just insisting on doing all the time, or was that something that was done and then like they just made that a point in the PR campaign?
Yeah.
Because we are talking about the House of Mouse's PR department, you know.
Right, yeah. And by the time some of that stuff got back to Favreau, it might have been like, well, we don't really have time to fix this. You know, like it like all of the the clipping and the microphones, for example, and stuff like that. It's like, well, it was probably the audio department's fault for not, you know, doing things right. By the time it gets back to him and they're doing like speed tests on the final mix or whatever, like
Yeah, I mean,
is it really worth going back to fix it at that point?
it's one thing when we don't fix clipping issues because, well, we're the motherfuckers who made the recordings. But it's like, if you're talking about a clipping issue that it's like went unnoticed until like the time it came to edit it, then you got to get that actor back and you got to do another take, and it's
Right.
going to sound different because it's recorded after the fact. And so it's like there are situations where you just have to kind of let it slide occasionally.
Yeah.
Like,
It probably happens more often than people think that it does.
Yeah, he probably only caught it just because of the he's doing the ridiculously fine-tooth comb thing that I do.
Yeah, which is hilarious. I really enjoyed the video. There were just a couple things I was like,
Well, it's like the be prepared stuff. That's an extremely valid point because it cannot be more obvious that that was slapped on after the fact because
it is
of
such
Outrage.
a horrible, yeah, absolutely terrible scene. Just one of the most oppressively bad, like, theater experiences I've had in the past 10 years was watching
Yeah.
their version of Be Prepared.
Because the emotionality that goes into the production of something does come across in the final product.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so it's like, if they're feeling stressed because they have to quickly put this thing in the movie, then that will come across in that thing and make it even worse.
Yeah.
So any other videos that we've been watching?
No.
I'm just trying to think. I haven't been watching much YouTube really.
Well, it was as we mentioned, everybody had a slow period. I didn't. I put out two or three videos in this early part of the year.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get back on it soon. I'm pretty much done with the semester, so I'm just grinding now.
Yeah, like honestly, the slow part of the year for me was last summer, after the Metal Gear Survive video, when I was.
Yeah, you've been pretty consistent since.
Well, I might have to break that to get the Skyrim video done, as is tradition. So,
I think you can make them wait a little bit longer.
I was gonna ask this: is there anybody you guys think we should bring on, or like try to wrangle?
I don't know.
Jeweler?
Yeah,
That might be.
what would we ask him?
See, that's the thing.
I
It's
haven't
like
watched the video yet, but
that's the thing. I can't really give any names. The only two people that I feel like I could say for certain is like Salty Shrimp Pasta and Hero to Zero.
Just
because
they've been around.
yeah, they're in our discords and stuff like that, and like I know what I would ask both those guys. Anybody else, I would have to do a lot of research into to be able to say for certain.
Well,
but I did want to.
My goal is to have a premise for the episode, and so it's like if we bring like when we brought Indigo on, there was a reason.
Yeah. I did want to ask you with the with your was it Outer Worlds video? Are you gonna watch Salt's video on it?
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm going to stream it
Yeah.
because I am really curious to see that video and how he approaches it, especially since he spent 2.5 hours talking about it. Or I think it's 2.5 hours. So I was going to say we need to bring Acer Thorne on.
oh, I just figured that was a given.
Yeah. A popular celebrity like him, someone as based as Acer Thorne, has to come on. Yeah, I fucking cut loose on him on that stream.
Yeah.
Because I was really mad, for those who don't know. Acer Thorne is a YouTube reviewer who's currently suing a number of people who criticized him. And I'm not one of the people being sued yet, but my name was mentioned because he was trying to claim that like messages he sent in the Discord server were his copyright. In which case, I just want to say I own the copyright on everything that's posted in my Discord server from now on. By falling into my web, you agree to be eaten by the spider kind of deal.
Contract of adhesion.
Yeah, I fucking just cut loose on him and made it clear that I'm not a fan of his antics. And I feel like he wouldn't say no. I feel like it would be a bad idea just because like he's gonna claim that he's obligated money or that he can take the video down because of privacy complaints or something.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's
For your stream or for
No.
coming on the show?
For coming on the show.
Yeah.
Even though it's
that's my whole thing is I just don't know how exactly that's gonna go.
yeah. Or
You know,
the other thing
he's
he
such
would
a-
say is that like we dogpiled him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was just like, I was even the other day, I was picturing what an Acer Thorne episode would look like, and I was like, how do we beat around the bush? Are we like dropping little hints that we know what we're actually saying? Like,
Right.
what did you think? Like, what were you thinking when you wrote your, Skyrim video about the dude smiling and stuff like
Yeah.
that? Like,
Did you
just
really
like-
think that Xboxes were going to explode?
It almost feels like it would either be like incredibly dull so that nothing really comes of it, or it would just be us sort of like subtly sort of beating up on them essentially for
Right.
the enjoyment of our viewers.
And there's definitely a market for that because he's made a lot of enemies on YouTube.
Right, yeah, that's true. So
I don't know. I've never been into the Lolcow scene, and I don't really think Acer's an appropriate one at that. So
Well, it's like there's going to be at least one person who says, well, you're giving him more attention than he deserves by talking about him. And it's like, nobody's going to go fucking subscribe to Acer Thorne's channel because of that live stream or what we're talking about right now. He's got such a bad fucking name in the community that even if he stopped all the lawsuits right now and tried to make things right, it's just such a damage to his credibility that he can't cut it as a YouTuber anymore.
yeah, there's no redemption arc
There's
here.
literally there's a very small number of things that you can do that can permanently alienate you from having a chance, and this is one of them.
Yeah, going aggressively. Once you start DMCAing people, that's when all bets start.
You're in the danger zone. People have come back from that.
Yeah.
It's the lawsuits.
Yeah.
And it's like the judicial intimidation tactics that he's used, where he's like, "I'll drop the lawsuit if you send me $200."
Yeah, me personally, I would never want anything to do with that. So I usually just avoid even talking about the guy.
See, that's
I'm
why
just
you're
like-
not going to make it big. We got to cash in on the trend. I thought
want
about
this podcast to be worth something.
I thought about going out to where he lives and like doing asking him for an in-person interview.
Oh my god.
That would be even funnier. Because it would be me on camera sitting across from him, and like
That would be the Pat TV face reveal.
yeah,
That's the Pat TV pitch.
you get one chance to do it. It's got to be something good.
Gotta be big. It's not just, hey guys, I got 50,000 subscribers.
Well, I want my thing to be I want to get challenged to a boxing match, and then like I will start a channel, a fitness channel, where that will be my 6 months of training, and it's gonna be nothing but fucking rice and chicken breasts and multivitamins every day. And just every day, it's just gonna be a video of what I did that day to prepare for this boxing match. And so that's the face reveal I want, but I don't think it's ever gonna happen. No one ever reciprocates my drama.
a lot of YouTubers, especially game guys, try to avoid the drama.
They're the guys I was shoving in lockers in high school. I like to pretend that like I was like a vicious bully. I was kind of a bully to my friends, but like I like to pretend that I was just like a jock who was fucking just massacring these nerds. And then like it's so bad that I'm such a bully that I'm gonna enter their space and take over as this Patrician character and tell them that their taste in the media that they got into to get away from me in high school is shit.
You're gonna come in and you're gonna do it better than they can.
Right,
And,
yeah.
just make them feel
It's
even
like
more inadequate.
move over, dweeb. I'm gonna show you how reviews are made. Yeah, that's still like I do love the Patrician aspect of the character because by definition it implies a level of smug superiority.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's where I'm like, I hate my own branding because I have no real brand image and I can't come up with something that actually fits it. Like Patrician TV is just like it's obvious from the just the name alone. does all the brand image you need.
Yeah, I love
like,
it. I didn't realize I was sitting on gold.
Yeah.
For the years I was small. And then there's Tetramore. Weren't you on Joe Rogan Experience?
What?
Some guy asked on the Discord if you seemed familiar. Were you on Joe Rogan Experience?
No.
I think if you were, you would have more subscribers than Pat right now.
Maybe.
Dude, that's one of my dreams is that I dropped this. I have a lot of dreams about YouTube. I dropped this Skyrim video and it's like 35 hours long. And then like I get invited on the Joe Rogan Experience because it's like a Dance Monkey Dance thing. And like I just overwhelm Joe Rogan. Probably not possible, but like, yeah, it's like he's invited me on and it's like, it's going to be this fucking nerd that can talk about some dumb shit for 35 hours. And it's like, I'm talking to him about like feds and how they kill dogs and shit like that.
Yeah. For me, my dreams of getting big are like just these stupid little petty things. Like there's just certain people that I would want them to like see me just like be like, wait, this dude has a Wikipedia article on him, or like have like my school alumni association take an interest in me and like ask me for an endowment or something and just be like, nah, not happening. Like that's real, my dreams of getting
real
big.
Petty stuff, just getting back at all.
Yes,
all those patricians in high school that
all the locker. Exactly. Yes, I was actually not bullied, but
neither was I. That's why I think I was a bully.
So you were either I had this idea a while back where you're either a bully or you're a victim.
Right.
There is no middle ground.
And so it's like if you think you weren't bullied in high school, you're probably.
You were either a bully or you were a victim and you just didn't realize it, or you're suppressing it and just lying to yourself.
There's probably room for people that were bullied, but then also were bullies to other people too.
Oh,
so you could be both.
That's how they typically try to romanticize it. Is like, oh, he's a bully, but for a reason.
Yeah. Well, he gets beaten at home and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like most of them are just fucking.
His mom has 10 boyfriends, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's actually the dad in the family. He's got 6 little brothers that he's got to take care of.
Yeah.
Kind of shit. He's working.
So that justifies
jobs.
his.
So that of course, that justifies him violently assaulting kids at school and emotionally belittling people. And
what is this? 13 Reasons Why?
I don't know. Is the bully gay? That was my takeaway from that show, is just that like everybody is fucking gay and there's valid justifications for them doing monstrous stuff.
Yeah. It wasn't the best.
All right, well, I guess we're going to wrap it up here.
Yeah.
I mean, other than the channels, of course, you can follow Private Sessions on YouTube. When are you streaming again?
I was going to do a stream today and yesterday and the day before that, so sometime soon, maybe tomorrow actually.
All right, you should schedule it in advance so people know.
Yeah,
and
the thing is, it's like I've been debating what game I'm even going to play.
Any videos you want to show? Go watch his Valheim video. Tetramore. You can follow him on YouTube as well. I recommend his Universal Paperclips video.
I recommend the Kingdom Hearts video.
Wow.
I agree.
It's good.
If
you're listen, if you have no experience with Kingdom Hearts, it's a good introduction. I went in with absolutely no idea, and I came out knowing that game pretty well.